Hello, CFI sweethearts. Welcome to episode 9 of our Coming For You podcast, aka CFY official podcast, with me, your host, Maximiliana. Wow, it's so surreal that I'm actually hosting episode 9 today, and trust me, it has been quite a journey, but here we are, episode 9 and counting. And today I am very excited. In fact, I am beyond grateful because in this very episode, my friend and I are going to have a conversation about our trip to Malaga, Spain. It's just a friendcation in Malaga, Spain. So we'll talk about our experience. So basically, you will get to hear about the weather in Malaga, Spain by the time we went there, the people we met, and some of the sites we visited. And there are so many touristic attractions in Malaga, Spain. So I suppose maybe this episode is going to give you a picture for people who are going to plan to go to Malaga, Spain. They can plan and then see what to get out of it. And so before we dive deep into this conversation, I want to welcome my friend to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Maxi, for inviting me. I'm glad to be on this podcast with you. My name is Irene Priscilla Ayaru, a lawyer by training, but that's not why I'm here. I also like to have fun and enjoy myself. So I would classify myself as an introvert, extrovert, if that exists. Yeah, I live in Dublin and I met Maxi at the University of Galway now, but formerly NUIG. We met there, and as life would have it, we eventually ended up in Dublin together. And as they say, the rest is history. So I'm really glad to be part of this podcast, and I'm happy to share our experience with this friendcation. That's a very nice term, Maxi. It really truly describes what it was, and it was amazing. So I hope that from this you'll be inspired to visit Malaga, add it to your bucket list of places. Thanks, Maxi.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Irene, for at least accepting for me to call it a friendcation, because I was trying to think what we can call it, but anyway, that's not a big deal. I'd ask you one time, your name sounds like it's coming from a matrilineal society, as if it's all female.
Funny thing is, I'm actually named after two great grandmothers. So Irene was my great grandma on my dad's side, so that's my paternal great grandma, and then Priscilla was my maternal great grandma. So basically, I was given the names of great grandmothers, which also says a lot. But big, like I was kind of like the first great granddaughter in a way. So that's the story behind my names, should I say? But I love them.
I see. Irene is such a beautiful name, actually.
It is, and it has a great meaning, so I really like it.
What's the meaning of your name?
It actually means peace. So I guess that explains why I'm a very peaceful person.
You are such a humble friend. You know, every time I see you, I always tell you this, right? My mom has roots from Uganda, right? My maternal grandmother is from Uganda. So my mother is a very humble person. She is very calm. When I came to know you, I just told you, you are very humble, you are quiet, and so you remind me of my mom a lot.
Oh, bless you. Thank you for that.
I think, Irene, now we can talk about how we started planning our trip and choosing where we want to go and stuff like that.
So, one of our former housemates, Carolina, bless her soul, was so gracious and extended an invite to us. And I think that's really how the conversation started. And, she kept asking, when are you coming over? When are you visiting? And, it was just one of those times where you're spontaneous and you're like, let's just do it, because if we don't go now, when are we going to go? But I think it was also because we were just coming out of winter and it was still cold. It was getting warm in other places around Europe. But of course, Ireland, as we know it and love it, it's usually wet and rainy. So it was nice to have a break from that. And I think that's how we narrowed down to going to Malaga. Also, we had, kind of checked the flights, and summer usually is a very peak season. Carolina had also told us that it gets really hot during the summer, and she advised us to visit Malaga during spring. So I think that is basically how we settled to that period and how we came to go at April.
As you said, it can be very cold in Ireland, and so we were trying to locate where the heat was,
Right?
yeah. Yeah, we needed some hot temperature, a little bit of hotness, and some true vitamins from the sun. And when we went there, to be honest, we were not disappointed. It was
No,
exactly how we pictured it to be.
it really was. I'm just going back to that time when we stepped out of the plane and the way the heat kind of like hit us.
Yeah, Irene, do you remember I told you I feel like I have landed in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania?
I do. It was nighttime.
So yeah, we got some true vitamin D there, honestly, and I felt some heat into my bones. This can sound like an exaggeration, but it's not actually, because when the winter came in Ireland, sometimes I can feel the cold to my bones. I'm like, am I alright? Is this something I'm just thinking in my head, or this cold is in my bone? And so when I went to Malaga, Spain, I just felt like my body was relaxing. I felt it within my body and within my bone and everywhere,
Absolutely. I felt it too. And I think the fact that like the winter is always really protracted here, it just seems like it's never ending. And of course, coming from countries that have a tropical climate, that's the environment we've grown up in. So of course, the long periods of winter, it gets sad, you feel. So it was just nice to get there, and it felt a lot like being home. Like the weather was exactly the kind of weather we have at home, and it was just really lovely. I remember how happy we were. We were so excited.
Yeah, we were so happy. Do you remember when we arrived at the airport and then we were trying to locate the bus or the train to go to Carolina's apartment? Do you also remember the queue to the taxi?
It was a shock that the transport we thought was available was no longer available because of that time. And we tried to ask around, but we're so lucky that we met a gentleman who was really kind, like got out of his car and was like, this is where you go to get the taxis. And I remember how that queue like shocked me to the core. I was like, what? I never seen such a long queue.
Because I'm sure I can approximate the number of the people who were in the queue. It surpasses to 100, because remember, it was when the flights are landing and then everybody wants the taxi. So I think it's more than 100 people, and that's the alternative arrangement for the people, to go home when they land after midnight or past midnight.
Yeah, that's true. But I also have to give it to them. They were very organized, I must say, because the queue was moving pretty fast, and there was someone at the front of the queue directing us, go to this taxi, go to this other taxi. So I think it was a very organized system. And, the queue actually kept moving quite fast. But I think also when we got into the taxi, it also hit us so hard that we were in Spain, which is a non-English speaking country. Because I remember how we struggled to kind of like give the guide the direction, the name of the place, because he was speaking in Spanish, and we're like, oh shoot, what are we going to do?
The guy was not speaking English. It's
Yeah.
Spanish, and we were not speaking any of the Spanish. So you can imagine the situation. Do you know, it's funny how you can be loud when you're trying for another person to understand you.
Yeah.
Sir, I was
I remember, like as if speaking louder is going to convey the message better. But I think that's also something that I picked up from that trip. If you're, planning to visit a country, it's nice to maybe learn a few words, like the most important things, saying where you're going, the greeting, or where can I get food, because we all know those are the most important things.
Yeah, glory to God, we arrived safe. Anyway, I think we can share about our host, Carolina. Carolina was the best host ever. She prepared food for us. Remember, we arrived very late. That feeling arriving and then having a very beautiful shower and then
Yeah,
having to have a very hot dinner. Do you remember the name of the food she gave us?
I definitely do. There were lentils, and they were prepared so nicely. They were so warm, really cooked well. It was exactly what we needed at that time. And honestly, I will never forget that lentil soup because I think it's probably the best that I've had. So thank you, Carolina. Or should we say thank you to also your parents?
because because she told us the parents came and cooked for us, and I was like, what? That's very funny. We also experienced some funny moments when we were there in Malaga, Spain. You know how when you travel for a vacation and you want to rest and forget about work and other stress. And so we were like, okay, in the evening after sightseeing, we're like, okay, let's try a Malaga beer. And then we just went to this beautiful restaurant and then we bought Malaga beers. And then we just went to the rooftop of that restaurant. And then we're just having our cheers there for the Malaga beer. And it was so amazing.
Yes, absolutely. I liked its size. It wasn't like too big. I felt like it was quite cute. Like the bottle and the packaging was quite cute, but I felt like it was just like the right size, especially if you are trying it for the first time. And it was actually really nice. Like it was nice, cold, and just what we needed for a hot day.
Absolutely, Irene. And also, we also tried Malaga seafood. I remember this was Carolina's idea. We just wanted to order like normal food, for an evening. But Carolina said you can buy a bigger plate of variety of fish, and then you can get an opportunity to try more than like 6 or 7 type of fish. And then we're like, okay, let's do it. So for the first time, I got to try octopus. I was eating while closing my eyes and listening to my heart, and because it was so surreal for me to be able to put octopus in my mouth. I don't know, it's just in my head because octopus looks very weird. And one of the fish that I find weird is octopus. I just said to myself, I'll never eat that fish. It looks weird, it walks weird. And so when I tried it for the first time, I was like, oh no. But Carola said, put lemon on it, put lemon on it.
She was really devoted to us having full Malaga experience. So that was very nice. To be honest, for me, I can't say that it's my favorite thing. It was really nice to try it out, and that's always a good thing. You go to a new place, try out the foods and everything else in the place. So the good thing with the variety is there are some things you'd like, there are some things you may not like, some things you might be unsure of. Let's just say that for me, octopus is one of those things I don't think I'll be trying again.
It's the same with me. I'm like, am I ever gonna try it again? It didn't just meet my expectations, to be honest. But anyway, that's fine because it was just for trying. Okay, so our sightseeing experience was also very nice. So we got to visit the Roman theater, which was discovered in 1951. So you can check it out maybe on Google, or if you want to know more about the Roman theater. And we also visited the Malaga Cathedral, and it's one of the tallest in the city. Yeah, so we visited also the Picasso birthplace and also the Picasso Museum. Picasso Museum has more than 200 artworks from the artist. This guy was a very celebrated artist. So yeah, if you want to know more about the Picasso, you can also check it out online. And also we visited the Carmen Museum. This was a very beautiful museum. It was in the middle of the city, and we got to see the Spanish paintings. And I like that museum a lot because it was very quiet. When people are in, you are just like visiting one paint to another paint, and it's just calmness and the appreciation of creativity and abstract. So I think it was a very beautiful experience for us to have. My highlight will be the Magueta beach. This was the closest beach from the city center, and it was very convenient for us to go there. So we were there, as usual, taking pictures here and there. We had a very long swim. I think we stayed in water for like 3 hours or something. But I think it was worth it. It was beautiful given the heat. And also, I remember, Irene, we visited Paloma Park. And to be honest, it was a very beautiful park. And it has like Paloma birds and some good scenery. You can just, when you just close your eyes, you just hear the birds sound and the calmness of, when you look up, you see the movement from the trees and you get rested, to be honest. But then the funny part is when Carolina told us that she's going to show us animals in the park. And then so we were very excited. We were like, wow, at last we're going to see animals in Spain. Let's see the animals. So we were very excited following Carolina, taking us to see animals.
For some reason, I think I was expecting to see wild animals. When someone says I'm taking you to see animals, I expected to see wild animals and not what we have at home as domestic animals.
Yes. In the north, in the Kilimanjaro, where I come from, Tanzania, we have domestic animals like goats, sheep, cows, and etc. And we have those for subsistence farming. Back home in Africa, Tanzania in particular, we have actual game reserve where one can see all sort of wild animals. So seeing those goats in that park was actually very shocking.
I think that's where also the culture clash also comes in.
It was a culture shock.
It was really a culture shock. Like you rightly pointed out, we keep goats at home as domestic animals and things like that. So you'd not find it in a zoo or a park back home. You'd basically find the wild animals and stuff like that. So it was a cultural shock to us to see a goat being kept in an enclosure. But she was very excited about it, and she's like, I'll take you to see the animals. And maybe the way we reacted to it might have kind of shocked her, because we just kept laughing and we're like, where are the animals? Like, this is it. It was so funny. I vividly remember what our faces looked like when we saw the goats, and we're like, what?
Just to let our CFI sweethearts know that because of this experience, we extended our invitation to Carolina, who was our host and our friend in Malaga, Spain. We just invited her right away to come to Africa and Tanzania to see real animals. I personally invited her to see the Serengeti and Ngorongoro and Mikumi. I told her that when she comes to Tanzania, I'll take her around to, to see the game reserves. So I hope that she'll make time for it and she will narrate that story for the rest of her life.
I'm sure she will.
We are getting at the end of our conversation as we're speaking, and thank you very much for those who have been listening to this episode, and we are asking for you guys to share with your friends so that they can enjoy this conversation as well. Thank you very much also for those who have subscribed to our CFI official podcast YouTube channel, and I request those who are yet to subscribe to kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, we are using the same name on Instagram as well, so you can just search CFI official podcast. Just to let you know, when you subscribe, you validate our work, and it will mean that we are more motivated to host more meaningful conversation. Again, thank you very much to all our CFI sweethearts for listening to this episode. And thank you very much, Irene, for joining me. And I hope that you are going to come another time.
Thank you for inviting me, Maxi. And we look forward to future collaboration.
All right. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.